Long time. Yeah, but you're right. I did it. And look at this neck.
Twins.
And maybe a swap. Yeah.
Twins.
How's it?
Hey,
welcome back,
you're right.
man.
Good to see you, man.
Won't get me religion. I'm gonna join the Baptist church.
All right, hi, Ronnie here from Allbang and Strumit, and today I've got one of my longest and best friends in the business, Dan Patlansky.
Good to be here, Ron. Always good to be here. I've been frequenting your shops wherever it's been since I was probably first year of high school. Somewhere around there. You know?
I remember you coming in a lot and drooling.
Definitely.
And then bringing your dad in and your dad running.
The financer, exactly. You know what I mean? I'll never ever forget. I mean, your shop was always the closest shop to where I lived, right? Yeah. So it was kind of like the local shop. And you know, I always used to come into the shop, and I never got the vintage thing at all as a kid. I mean, I don't think many kids do, because you look at a vintage guitar and you go, I want a shiny one. I want you know, a silver shiny thing.
Yeah, of course.
And I remember you saying, well, this is where it's at. You know, is in the vintage thing, and I didn't believe you. I really didn't. I was like,
it's crazy.
This is crazy. And until I actually played this guitar, which is your guitar, for the first time, and the penny dropped, and I was like, wow, I can see what the craze is about like vintage Strats and Tellys and Les Pauls and all that sort of stuff. And that was really an eye-opening kind of experience, and it really started my love for vintage guitars, Strats in particular, and vintage amplifiers too.
I remember the one particular Telly, you couldn't have had it for that long. And I think your dad was a little bit perturbed that all of a sudden that was on the chopping block.
You're right. I just bought a brand new Telly. Brand new. I had it for like a week. And all of a sudden that came on the market. And my old man couldn't. He was like, you've just bought a brand new guitar. And what is wrong with you? You know what I mean? What is wrong with you? And I was like, no, I'll sell the Telly. I mean, it's like, he's like, it's brand new. It's a new one. That's not new. It's old. Why, it doesn't make sense to me. And obviously it took a bit of me trying to educate, you know, the old man, saying, you know, this is the reason why you want, you know, a guitar from that kind of era, and it's kind of, they're hen's teeth. It's not like every day you see a vintage instrument. Well, I remember the first time I ever played that Strat, like, you know, in a full band thing, was Julian Laxton had his club very close to here.
I could have been playing at that point.
Yeah. And that was the very, very first time I played this guitar live, and I think that's when my old man went, okay, I get it. You know what I mean?
And he was right behind you. He was always right.
I think I've heard a lot of people say, you know, is it worth the money, right? To like, if you take a brand new American 2017 Strat, and then you take a 63 Strat, and that's got a rosewood fingerboard, it's sunburst, it's whatever it is. And for me, there's a massive difference. Yes, the player's the big thing, but there's something for me, and that's what it was for me getting that instrument. Besides it, you know, having, you know, tonal qualities that the newer ones don't have, and you know, that feel, that worn-in feel. If you spend proper money on a guitar, especially on a vintage guitar, it makes you play. Because it's not going to sit in the corner of your house, because you've just spent a whole bunch of bucks on this guitar. And another big thing that I learned from you, and I suppose inquired a sickness or passion for, is valve amps, right? And you know what they sound like, and you know how to use a valve amp properly. Because I mean, I was completely, you know, I never ever heard of that in my life before as a kid. It was just, and I'll never forget with my dad. I just got myself a Marshall, but it's called a valve stat, you know? Just brand new. Like, I mean, I'm talking brand new papers, built-in effects and all that. And obviously it's shiny and new. And I had that also for literally a month. And then I came into your shop and you were like, come, just play this. Just play it. And what it was I think it was a Silverface 70s basement head. and it was running through a 4x10 Marshall cab. And I played it, and the difference was so apparent, and I knew from that day forward that I could hear what you're talking about, that three-dimensional glory that a tube amp has. And that was another fight I had with the old man. I just had this shiny amp, and then
Public enemy number one.
yeah, and I brought him to your shop to show him this amp, and it was quite a scruffy head, you know. It'd been worked. It'd seen a little bit of club action.
See past it.
I can remember his face going, "What the hell?" And then in the car on the way back, he says, "It's still got those valves in it, like from back in the radios." I mean, surely. And I was like, no, this is where it's at, you know.
The one thing that I've always been thinking is sound.
Yeah, sure.
Sound. I don't judge anything. It can go from a drum kit to any a guitar, a keyboard. It's the sound. Now you can tell me it costs you $100,000 or whatever, but to me, if it doesn't sound right, I'm not right all the time. Obviously not. But I can tell you if it's a quality sound, and that's when you start you're starting at where you should be.
Exactly.
What you do with that is up to you.
Oh, big time. And I mean, I think when it comes to especially electric guitars, you know, in the old days when, you know, the violins, for instance, and acoustic instruments, it was always about finding the violin that sounded. And I think people think just because this is not a hollow body instrument with a sound hole in it, that it doesn't really make a difference. It makes a massive difference. I mean, it's apparent, and that's why I always say, even if you can't afford a vintage guitar, you shouldn't just go buy the first guitar you pick up. You should play a few.
You're still learning. You're
Sure.
still learning to get to where you are. And I get into a lot of trouble in bands for saying there's something not right.
Yeah.
Because you gotta listen.
Big time.
You gotta listen.
Well, I mean, I've got a similar approach. I mean, I find, especially playing live and in studio and all that, is the most important factor, I suppose, for me is tone, always.
Oh.
And I tell you something, if I'm playing a show, it doesn't matter how many people are there and how into it the audience is, if my tone's not happening, it is the longest night at the office for me. And also, my playing, it like cripples my playing.
Yeah, of course.
Because everything kind of like kind of seizes up. But when it's incredible when you've got a great tone, when everything's happening, and that's
Falls
weird.
into place.
It's just, you don't have to think about it. Everything's
it's
smooth.
working
Your
with you
phrasing's good. You're not looking around at what your amp settings are every 3 seconds, going, what is going on? It just doesn't feel right, because tone for me always makes the guitar feel different. If the tone's not right, the guitar always feels foreign. The strings feel thicker. The action feels too high. Everything, it just doesn't feel good. And I mean, that's just maybe me personally, but when the tone's right, the guitar feels perfect.
The instrument's working for you now.
Yes.
You know what I mean? Not with you.
Yeah.
There's a subtle difference
Big
now.
time.
It's now becoming part. It's the same thing. We sit for hours sometimes making the drum sound the way it wants to sound, which means now you can sound good as well.
Main reason, I mean, I think besides the great gear that I've bought from you over the years, and you know, small strings and all that type of stuff, but I've always found like it's your shop's always it's probably the most unique shop possibly in the world, you know, in the sense that there's no pretense here in the shop.
You know that how that works. If you walk in here with an attitude, you're in trouble.
Yes, there we go. You're one of the few guys I can trust. If I tomorrow found a 63 Strat in a pawn shop and I picked it up for 200 Rand, you know, I can bring it to you, and you'll always give me, I feel, an honest evaluation. You'll say, yes, if you go to London or New York and sell it, you'll get X amount, but you got to get it there. If you want to sell it in South Africa, this is what you can reasonably sell it for. It's not going to sell for the American price. So Ron, I know I ask you this at one point it was probably on a weekly basis. You sure you don't want to sell this guy?
Well, you know, no.
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 So you get me excited when you go,
not-
well,
it's not-
you know.
I think that's the only reason you come and see me. You know, that's alternative reasons here. I think it's, no. It's,
You see?
one day, perhaps. One day.
One day, perhaps.
This
you
is the
know.
only one, as I said, I've ever kept, and it became my guitar.
Well, maybe I can I have one last little
Yeah, why don't you go mad?
go mad? I don't know about going mad.
I want to see you go mad.
Yeah. Still my favorite strat ever.
Yeah.
Still my favorite strat. It just plays itself, man.
Okay, Dan, thanks for coming, man. It was
Awesome,
really,
Ron.
it's
Thanks for having me. It's
good
always
to
a
see you,
pleasure.
and I'm glad you could find the time. And just remember, this is Allbang and Strumit. We'll see you again soon. Bye.
Now I've got my hand on his leg, and I'm like my hamster's running a bit. I'm trying to do the mass. How is he?